So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a timeline in a blueprint. If you watch my previous tutorial about an aim down sight camera movement, we used a timeline. So what I'm going to do is just deconstruct that a little bit and explain a little bit more about timelines. In the last tutorial, I showed you this. So you're just a player and then you can press a trigger and it moves the camera like this. And that's running off a timeline. We're going to the third person character. This is the timeline that it's doing it. But what I want to explain in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a timeline. What I want to explain in this tutorial is how these timelines can be used in all sorts of different ways. So if we left double click into that, this is the timeline that it is. And on the first one, if we go back to the event graph, new track 0, this is going from value 300 to value 150. And that's new track setting the camera boom's arm length. So the camera boom is going from 300 to 150. But this timeline doesn't care about this target arm length. It doesn't care about the socket offset. It doesn't even know what it's going to be in. So I could copy and paste this timeline and now I have a fresh new one. Inside that, it will still have the ones that we made previous from 300 to 150. But now I could use this to set another float that goes from 300 to 150. Or I could just go into this timeline and instead of it going from 300 to 150, I could make it go from 0 to say 20. And now this new track will change any float from 0 to 20 within that time, 0.2. So I just wanted to sort of explain that these timelines are not dependent on the things that they're changing. These timelines are their own thing completely. They're almost like a delay, but with an anime, like with setting a different value in a delay type thing. Not exactly a delay, but kind of, because they're running on a timeline. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a little box that sort of just constantly goes in and out. So go down into the content drawer, find a space. You can make a new folder, but I'm just going to make it here and just go blueprint class. It's going to be an actor and just call this box bounce or something like that. Open that up. We're going to add a cube. And now we've just got a very simple cube. If we go into our level and we drag our cube in, just a very simple cube, we press play. Oh, hello cube, you don't do anything. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make a timeline so this cube can go in and out. I'm going to go to the event graph of the cube, and we're going to right click and type timeline. Scroll down, add timeline, and you could call this cube size, I suppose. Double click, left click to go into that. We're going to add a track, and we're going to add a vector track because a cube, we're going to change its scale, X, Y, Z. At the moment, X, Y, Z on this cube is 1, 1, 1. So we can lock these two, the X and the Y. And we can go from X, add a key to X. That's our first key, put 0. And the value is 1 because our cube is 1. I'm going to scroll across a little bit. Add key to X. So the reason why it's adding key to X and not to Y and Z is because look, I've got Y and Z locked. So add key to X. So this is the next one. And then we'll put this. We're going to have the length as 5 seconds, right? So we're going to put this at, say, 2.5. And then we're going to put this value at, say, 0.8. And then you can find this to find your bits. Then we're going to add another key to X. And we're going to put the time at 5 seconds, which will be the end. And the value back to 1. So it's going to go 1, small, big, right? Now, when you're doing it with a vector, you've got all three, so you kind of have to repeat the process. So lock the X, unlock the Y, and then you can add key to, oh no, unlock the Y, lock the Z, add key to Y with right click, and then it's just the same value, time 0, value 1, add key to X, time 2.5, value 0.8. See, so now it's gone to where that the X1 was because it's on 0.8. Add key to Y, time 5, value 1. So the X and the Y is doing the same thing. Same thing again. Lock that one, unlock Z, add key to Z, time 0, value 1, add key to Z, time 2.5, value 0.8, add key to Z, time 5, value 1, right? Compile and save. This is called new track 0. I'm going to also do a quick one with a float. So if you go to track, add float. So see, you can add a float track, a vector track, an event track, and a color track. You can actually change colors of things. You can control most things actually with these timelines. Like you can get the parameters of material instances and make them fade in and fade out and stuff like that. So we're going to just quickly add a float track. See, new track 1. We're going to right click here, add key to float, put that at time 0, value 1. Add key to float a bit further down, time 2.5, value 0.8, and add key to float, time 5, value 1. The only reason I'm doing this extra float one is to show you how you can sort of use anyone's kind of, like we're going to come back to our event graph. Also, we need to loop it round as well. So go back into your timeline. See here, this will make the timeline keep looping, so it will just keep doing it. So we can put that on loop. Right. We want to get our cube and then put set relative scale 3D. Right. So now we've got a vector. Remember, on our first tracking out of and our timeline, we did the X, Y, and the Z all from 1 to 0.8 to 1. Right. So that will do them 3 for all of them. Right. So update on there. Go to play. Right. So now if we play the game, the box will be going up and down over 5 seconds. What I wanted to explain with the float. So when we made our timeline, you see how long it took us to make all 3 of them for X, Y, and Z. And then just to make a float one, we just did one quickly. So what you can do is all 3 of them values are the same, right? They go from 1 to 0.8 to 1. And on our float, it goes 1 to 0.8 to 1, right? So you could just take this out of here. You could split this structure pin and you could put that into all 3 of them. It would do the exact same thing. See, so it's doing the exact same thing. That's if you split the structure pin, you can recombine structure pin and use your vector. So on the timeline, because if you want a little bit more control with different things, vectors are good because, say, for example, I didn't want the Z to be 0.8. I wanted the Z to actually go higher. So you could go to the middle. It starts at 1, value 1. Z is 0.8. But say we wanted that to go to 1.5, right? Now what will happen is it will go like, see, it's going shrinking in. So the Z is going bigger and the X and Y are doing different things. So that's what I was trying to explain is you might want to just, if all your values are just going to be the same, so you might as well just do one float, split structure pin and drag them all in if all the values are going to be the same. But if you wanted to sort of like change like the X or change the Y, then you might want to do it like a vector. But like I say, these timelines can be used for anything. So that new track goes from 1 to 0.8 to back to 1. I could get the cube again and set relative rotation. Right now we could just use the same things, right? So it's at rotation 000. Let's split that structure pin. Let's take that out of there. Right, we could use this track from 1 down to 0.8 to 1, but because it's 0.8 and 0.1, it won't really you won't really see much. But what I'm trying to say is these timelines are not dependent on the things it's changing. The timeline is its own animation. So you can hardly see the movement because it's 0.1 to 8. So let's just make that float bigger. So let's go to the float. Let's put it to value 180. And then let's put that value to 180, the end value. So it's like that. So you'll see it spin a bit better. See, so like sometimes, say if you're doing like rotation, and you could just add here rotation, a rotating movement. A rotating movement will just keep spinning in a circle. Whereas like say if you're using these timelines, you've got more control over what it's actually doing. So you could, so on this you might want to play from start, play from start, reverse from end. You might want it to do different things. You see on this update, that's doing it constantly, right? What you could do is copy and paste this. This is a looping one, so we don't do we want it looping? Let's just see what it does. Right, so out of, you see update, it's going to do it in real time. Finished is going to only play this animation when this animation is finished. So it might not work because it's on a looping, so it will take the looping off. Right, and we're going to go from there to update. So it's going to spin round in 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds it's going to play to this one that's going to make it go big and small. Why is it not doing that? Oh, cause I've got it attached to the wrong one. And then it's going to go big and small. And it's going to just keep doing that because this one's looping. Look, see the little loop symbol and no loop symbol there. To make it loop, it's just that on loop. You won't do it. So yeah, that was just a little bit more about timelines. And like I say, you can use these for anything. They don't work in UIs, user interfaces and stuff like that, but they work in most blueprints. I use them a lot. I use them for all sorts of things. There was one where I made like a crate. When you hit the crate smashed open, and I used these timelines to set where the things crash open to. I also use these timelines to make the material fade out, so it doesn't just cut straight off. It sort of like dissolves and stuff like that. But yeah, they're very, very useful. I just thought I'd do kind of like an extra bit. This is more sort of attached to the last tutorial that I did. But yeah, I just thought I'd do a little extra bit about timelines. Another thing that I wanted to explain, because in the tutorial I did about the aiming thing, I said that I wasn't going to give you too much information about the play from start and reverse from end. But I thought, you know what, I might as well tell you actually, because it's not too much stuff. Right, so on this, I press the button, it zooms in, zooms out, and it's using the timeline. And then I said, if you press it, like this is a bit of an error. So if I sort of like spam it, it kind of jumps. And the reason why it's doing that is because it's reversing from the end. So when you've completed the thing, it's snapping the animation to the end animation, which is this one, and reversing it from the end. Say reverse from end. So you could just go from completed to reverse. So that means that it's going to reverse the animation from wherever it is. See, it's not snapping, it's reversing it from. So if I go all the way, it's like that. If I go halfway and back, it goes halfway and back. It doesn't go halfway, snap to the front, and then goes back. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. But play and reverse isn't always what you want to do. Play from start, sometimes you do want to do that. Reverse from end, sometimes you do want to do that. It just depends on the scenario you're using it in. Another quick thing was these curves. So this value is going from 300 to 150. And if you select one, hold down left shift, and then select the other one with left click, right? And then if you right click, you have to right click on the actual dot, right? And then if I just put these to constant, see, it's going to go in at value of 300 all the way, drop straight down to 150. So you're going to right click them again while they're both highlighted blue. We're going to go to linear. Now it's going from 300 gradually down to 150. So all at the same time, right? So you see, this is the time: 0, 0.03, 0.06, 0.09, 0.12, 0.16, 0.19, 2, the length 2, right? So see this value 300, come down to here, look, it's gradually going down, value 292, value 228, all the way until it gets to 160, 150. See, so over that period of time, that's getting to that value. So if you've got them both highlighted and right click and you put user, see how it's sort of like around 300 still for a little bit, 297, and then it's got a steep drop, 200, then it sort of floats sort of back down to 150 where we kind of want to be, and it sort of stays around there for a bit. So it's just sort of like the way it changes over time, these lines are. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that was a bit unclear or anything, just let us know. But yeah, these timelines are very, very valuable. You can change all sorts of things with them, and you can just copy and paste them to reuse them somewhere else. And when you do copy and paste them, it's not the same timeline, so it will be a new timeline. See, that's just a new timeline now, but it's got the same animations in it that I just made. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.